Free speech, freedom, free.
Freedom of speech is essential for a healthy society. That is what I'm going to explain in these next few minutes, how you can help to protect it, and I have to tell you that your involvement is key, and this is a very important issue. As you will learn in the next few minutes, there is a long historical consensus by important organizations and great writers that freedom of speech is essential to a healthy, free society. This freedom and the associated important gains to social life are under threat from our governments, academia, and mass media because they have been influenced by an ideology that developed over the last decades that does not like free speech. This ideology regards feelings of those who dislike your opinions as more important than your right to speak and share those opinions. If we look back at, for example, the declarations made during the French Revolution, they said, "The free communication of ideas and opinions is one of the most precious of the rights of man." The United Nations, in its Universal Declaration of Human Rights, said, "Everyone has the right to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers." The extent to which a country's citizens are able to participate in selecting their government, as well as freedom of expression, freedom of association, and free media, are measured currently within the Worldwide Governance Indicators, and this is done for 200 countries around the world. This research at the World Bank indicates that freedom of speech and the process of accountability that follows have a significant impact in the quality of governance of a country. Now we have examples of how in modern times this new sick ideology has attempted to crush this important aspect of free speech. Many colleges have retreated from historically strong support for free speech, including through the process of disinviting speakers, the promulgation of speech codes that prohibit what is deemed hate speech, and students protesting the participation of politically unpopular speakers on campus, including those regarded as simply not sufficiently left-wing. This even happens at what used to be the top universities in the world: Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge. They no longer allow free exchange of intellectual thought because they fear someone's feelings could be hurt. This activism by colleges redefining what they regard as permissible to speak about has led to high-profile large protests, some peaceful, some violent and riotous, such as at the University of Missouri in 2015, Yale University in 2016, and repeated events at the University of California, Berkeley in 2017, Middlesbury College 2017, and the insanity prevailing at Evergreen State College in 2017, and many, many others. The rise of far-left street thuggery by groups such as Antifa, often seen at colleges, has also stimulated the formation of opposing violent groups. Traditionally, the only restrictions on free speech were when the speech harms others, but now the restrictions are also on any words they dislike or get annoyed hearing, even when it doesn't actually cause them any harm. The principle in America, as stated by the Supreme Court, was that speech is only restricted when it calls for imminent lawless action and that is likely to incite or cause such imminent lawless action. That level of freedom is not allowed anywhere else in the world, and in Britain you can be arrested simply because someone claims to be upset by what you have written or said. The British do not have the advantages that I've described of enjoying free speech. Now, according to the Reporters Without Borders, they produce the Internet Enemy List. The following states engage in pervasive internet censorship: China, Cuba, Iran, Myanmar, North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. That's not a list that you would really want your country to be on. But several British politicians have expressed the desire to join this list. They want to censor and restrict internet use. We already find that ordinary people in Britain and other European countries are being arrested for posting so-called unacceptable views on social media. If you want to, search for Count Dankula or Goodfella. Both of these were arrested in Glasgow. This censorship and distrust of the common citizen has a long history. When the printing press was invented, it became possible to spread a detailed point of view, and so, naturally, the authorities did what they could to stop it. The Catholic Church in 1501 required that books be licensed before publication, and when that didn't fully work, they began making a list of such naughty books that no one was allowed to read. If it didn't fit in with their ideology, it was banned. This attitude is now resurrected in the concept of hate speech. If what you want to say doesn't fit the modern ideology of feelings over facts, you have to be banned. The great writer Milton had some of his works refused because they contradicted the ideology of his time. Milton's response to censorship was to plead for free speech and toleration of errors in ideas. "Give me the liberty to know, to utter and to argue freely according to conscience," he said. We plead the same. The modern world has not yet fallen to the level of the French crown in 1546, when they burnt the printer Etienne Dolet at the stake. But now we are imprisoning individuals for silly or ugly things they write on social media. This is an attack on free speech, and it is happening now. Way back in 1557, England restricted printing to selected printers who could be trusted not to rock the boat. This was to tackle the great enormities and abuses of divers contentious and disorderly persons professing the arte or mystere of printing or selling of books. Now our governments, which are much more advanced, want to tackle ordinary people expressing opinions on social media. Even though John Stuart Mill argued that without human freedom there can be no progress in science, law or politics, his On Liberty, published in 1859, is a classic on the right to free speech. Mill argued that much of what we once considered true has turned out to be false. Therefore, views should not be prohibited for their apparent falsity. These days, the ideologues know for sure that they are right, and that everyone else, those who disagree, are clearly Nazis who should be shut up and preferably ruined and imprisoned. Bizarrely, our politicians seem to agree. Free speech, essential for a healthy society, is being restricted and criminalized in much of the world, including Britain, where free speech was previously adored. Noam Chomsky states that Stalin and Hitler were dictators in favor of freedom of speech for views they liked. The modern ideologues are only in favour of free speech that they like. They are similar to Hitler. Isn't that awful? The ideologues also believe that certain groups in society should be given special privileges that the rest of us do not deserve, and if we say or write anything that those groups dislike, we should go to jail. This has created an aristocracy which can arbitrarily have you arrested if they don't like what you say. This bizarre state of affairs has been written into UK law as protected groups. These protected groups, the creation of this as a concept, is a gross attack on free speech, and the law should be repealed so that we all have equality in law and the protection of law in speaking our minds freely. Those who claim to be hurt by words must be led to expect nothing as compensation. Otherwise, once they learn they can get something by claiming to be hurt, they will go into the business of being hurt. There is a modern pejorative term for such people. It is snowflake. The correct balance between the right to freedom of expression and the rights of the individual is over real harm, not claims of being offended. A climate of fear exists in our society where people are threatened by an ideology. Open debate is being restricted or blocked, and the situation is festering. Even the use of the word harm has been corrupted. Nobody has the right not to be offended. What is the freedom of expression without freedom to offend? It ceases to exist. So said Salman Rushdie. That is why this pamphlet exists and this podcast exists, and why we must all protect this basic human right, freedom of speech. Because freedom of speech is essential to a healthy, free society. But everywhere it is under attack. You can help defend this basic human right. You can make the world a better place by resisting and reversing this attack on free speech. Help save our human right to free speech. Do your part in saving Western civilization. Such resistance must adhere to the rule of law, because in the end it will be the rule of law that is essential for everyone to live safely. But protest and lobby the parties in power to make the right decisions, benefiting the people and putting the country first above this sick ideology. Vote against corrupted politicians in national and local elections. Criticize rogue ideologues and demand equal treatment for all. Inform those around you of what is happening and provide them evidence. Hold rallies, marches, run campaigns and be outspoken. Use social media to network and increase solidarity and confidence. Expose idiocy and ideological corruption at every opportunity. Become involved. This podcast is based on a pamphlet in the tradition of radical activists creating anonymous texts wary of governmental persecution. In the 21st century, much to our horror, we are once again threatened by censorious authority, but now not only within the elites of government, but also in the media, academia, and general society. Resist this new age fascism. We face absurdity being taught to school children. Anyone who objects to this, wishing to protect these future generations, is liable to be insulted, shamed, and even arrested. It is incredible that this is happening in modern times. This is why the pamphlet that I'm reading from is anonymous. The pamphlet is entitled Free Speech, Use It or Lose It. You may not know, but your basic right to say what you believe is being taken away from you. If you let them steal your right, you may never get it back. Become involved. Please share this podcast.
Free speech.